30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Wednesday in Nashville, Tennessee. It's also more than 70 degrees. And so for the first time, we get a couple of back-to-back days that have you saying, even with my crappy golf game, a golf course would be a nice place to be. Anyway, in lieu of that, we're at the beautiful Ford Ice Center where we are loving our new permanent studio. We are a little more than a week away from our first sports speaker series that we're going to do. And hopefully we can put that up there in a minute. Barry Trotz, the incoming general manager of the Predators, will be here for the first one of these a week from tomorrow from 11:30 to 12:45 p.m. and 11:30 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. And it's a free event. And we'd love a bunch of you to come out and be, I guess you could call it whatever you want, a studio audience, if you will. We're going to make quite a bit of time for your questions for Barry. If you want to come, it's simple. Just RSVP, email me at plastergeorge@gmail.com. Let me know how many folks are in your party, and we will reserve seating for you. We will not do the same for Kelly Holcomb, who joins us from Murfreesboro. Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing great, George. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's always nice to have you with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Always nice to be had. You know what I'm saying?
8th day in a row you've come in.
Unbelievable. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this, but hey, we'll see.
For now you're in, and we're right in your backyard today. I mean, this is a football show beginning to end. If you're a college football fan, number one, some of what you're going to see in here is going to amaze you. It's going to blow you away. And I'll leave it at that for now. And some of you may have seen bits and pieces, but maybe not the way we're going to show it to you. That'll come up here in about 10 minutes. Kelly, God bless the Tampa Bay Rays.
Hey, the quest is no more for your Preds. Sorry.
No. And in fact, we'll get to that in the update. Billy, how are you today?
I'm great, George. The Preds, Kelly's right. They've been eliminated after Winnipeg's win, correct? Last night?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
what did it?
The Preds had to win their last two, and Winnipeg had to lose their last two, and it didn't even begin to happen. We didn't get any glimpse of that. So
here's what's interesting, though. I think most of us who are season ticket holders that go to a lot of their games feel a lot better about this team at this moment than we did a year ago when they made the playoffs. You knew if you had half a brain that Colorado was going to wear them out. Well, this go round, these young guys have infused an enthusiasm into this deal that frankly had not been there. So, yeah, I'm sorry they are not going to make the playoffs, but Kelly, I feel better about where they are than I have.
I think everybody does. We talked about it yesterday. Ever since we've been talking about the Preds, when you've got a team that is willing to fight and try to make the playoffs with not the normal guys, and you get a bunch of young guys, that's what coaches say. The next guy is next man up. That's what they always talk about. So the Preds did a really good job of putting guys in there and doing a really good job of getting players and drafting good players. And They infused some young guys in there, and I think everybody's got something to look forward to because they did really well going down the stretch and had a chance to get in the playoffs. It was just a little bit too much to overcome.
Sure did. Let me get a quick update from David Wilson. The Sounds opened a homestand last night in dramatic fashion. Talk to me about pitch clock and what all you can or can't tell me.
Yeah, so on average, there have only been one pitch clock violation per game so far. So it seems like really that players are coming to enjoy it and pick up the pace of the play of the game. Last night's game was around 2 hours and 40 minutes and a game that went 11 innings. We went to extra innings last night, went to 11 innings. And we still had a 2 hour, 40-minute game. So
really?
The pace of play is really good.
That's great.
I agree. That'll make me go to a game. That'll make me watch games.
It was a beautiful night last night. So Sounds come from behind to win.
And listen, I think there are a lot of people that feel exactly the same way you do. I always have made the joke, although I don't think it's a joke. There aren't 10 people in this city that love baseball more than I do, but it's a concern the number of fans who have turned away from it. So when I hear somebody like you say, okay, maybe I'll go, maybe I'll pay attention, that's a good thing.
Yeah, because I don't want to sit around and watch a batter get out and mess with his gloves and bend over and stretch and get a water. I mean, it was too much. I mean, it just, when you're going 3.5 hours every time, that's just a lot to, especially for a guy like me who's has not been diagnosed ADD, but I got a little ADD in me, so that's too much for me. Yeah, too much.
Okay, well, that explains some things.
Does this mean we can get you to First Horizon this year, Kelly? Come watch a game or two?
I may. I could, yeah. I may. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to promise anything, man. Not going to promise. I don't like promises.
God, we don't. Commitment, not a strong suit. No level of commitment.
That's right.
Billy, what else you got over there?
NBA playoffs.
Yes.
Oh. How about that?
I stayed up late.
The play-in game started last night. Atlanta beat Miami 116-105, and the Lakers pulled it out in overtime last night over Minnesota. So the Lakers and the Grizzlies. I don't know if we expected to see that in the first round before this season.
Kelly, this is a very interesting first round series. Over the years, the Lakers used to basically just, mess all over Memphis.
Yeah, dominate, yeah.
And now Memphis is the 2 seed. The Lakers are the 7. Be interesting to see how this turns out.
Yeah, and I think that they played 3 times this year, and I think the Lakers are 2-1 against the Grizzlies this year. So there's been a lot of trash talk.
It's already started.
On Memphis' side, and then LeBron said something last night. So there's a lot of people picking the LA Lakers with all the experience and Anthony Davis, who's a really talented guy. He's unbelievable. And I stayed up and watched some of those games. I watched your game, which that was like
Atlanta beat the snot out of them.
Yeah, if they were going to win, Jimmy Butler's got to play well, and they couldn't throw it in the ocean last night. It was amazing. They couldn't get a rebound. Of course, nobody plays defense anyway, but they didn't put their hands on guys, and they were getting Atlanta was getting all the loose. I don't even know if it was ever a game. I mean, I think they were up 2-0 at the beginning and then never led again.
Did you notice the PA announcer? He's been doing this for years, but I happened to see the very end of the game. So they get to the time where normally you'll hear 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Yeah. Well, he does a Spanish one too, and he go 2 minutes, dos. Like that. And
2 minutos?
No, he doesn't.
I didn't hear that.
He just goes, dos. What else we got there, Billy?
We got Saquon Barkley news. He will not sign the franchise tag before offseason workouts. He's
really?
There. Yeah. So interesting piece. Giants owner John Mara said last month that he hoped to reach a long-term deal with him, and he wants him to be a Giant for his entire career. But the negotiations remained at a stalemate as of today.
Well, isn't that special?
He's trying to miss all the mini camps. That's all he's trying to do.
How many?
I wish I could have done that.
Kelly, how many players honestly try to do that?
I feel like it's a lot.
It's a lot nowadays. I mean, if I had the opportunity to do that, I'd done the same thing. If I was if I had so much leverage on a team where they were wanting to do that and they were not going to get rid of me, I would absolutely do that.
Hello there.
Oh gosh.
I just wanted you to know what
You
show
have
you
no
were
shame.
on.
You have no shame, dude.
That is shameless. It really is. But you know what? Are we shameless? Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. What else you got there, Billy?
Edwin Diaz
Yes.
hopes to return by the end of the year. He has not ruled out returning before this season. He spoke to the media for the first time since tearing his right patellar tendon while celebrating at the World Baseball Classic. He said that his knee is doing all right and that his recovery is going in a good direction.
Edwin Diaz had a monster year last season as a closer for the Mets. His brother is the closer right now for the Cincinnati Reds. Think about that. How many families, you talk about, Peyton and Eli. Well, in baseball, not that they're the first brother combination ever, but you got two short relievers, two closers, Edwin and his brother in Cincinnati.
Good genetics.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. Good genetics.
Not good enough. The Braves tore into the little brother.
The
Yes,
Braves
they
are
did.
probably going to tear into a lot of guys this year.
That's what we're hoping.
The Rays, though, George, 11
God
straight.
bless Tampa.
11 straight
Tampa.
games.
Tampa.
Brandon Lau. It's not Lowe. I looked at that before you get at me, Kelly. It's Brandon Lau. It looks like Lowe. But David was smart enough over here to tell me it's Lau. He had a big performance. Shane McClanahan also pitched well. And, man, I mean, are they going to do it? Are they going to break these records? I know what was it, 25 is the one that will probably never be broken back in
That ain't
the
happening.
early 20s and 30s.
That's not happening.
No.
But they very well might break the Brewers and the Braves pace.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
I don't want the Braves record to go away. So it's possible
Are you going to twist
that
this
after
around
the
later?
12th, I'll sort of do a little flipperoonie and go against them.
For the sake of his
For
Braves
the Bravos,
fandom.
absolutely.
George,
For all who loved Dale Murphy and Bob Horner and Chris Chambliss and
Rafael
Glenn Hubbard,
Rafael Ramirez. Shortstop, baby.
Claudel Washington.
Claudel.
I like Kelly throwing out.
Yeah.
Bruce
I like that.
Benedict. Bob
Eggs.
Horner.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Bring it.
Kelly's done his baseball research.
I like it. No, I think back then,
He was watching?
yeah,
I was watching. I was all in, man. That's what I wanted to do. I was a Major League Baseball guy. I was a big Pittsburgh Willie Stargell guy. Pittsburgh Pirates. Yep.
Stargell, man.
who later became the Atlanta Braves batting coach.
Yeah.
Didn't know that, did you?
I did not know that.
Wow. Interesting. George, Mel Kiper has
Yes, bad hair.
another
Wow.
mock draft out. This
If
was
you
yesterday.
can get a golf ball into his hair, you will get a great lie in the fairway.
I know where
Yeah,
Billy's
that wouldn't
going
be
with
the
this.
rough.
I know where Billy's going with this because I think in his new mock draft, he's got 4 quarterbacks going in the top 4 spots. Does he not?
Yep. Yes, he does. Carolina taking Bryce Young. Houston taking Stroud. The Titans trading all the way up 8 spots and taking Anthony Richardson. And Indianapolis taking Will Levis. So
Yeah.
how likely is that for the Titans to trade all the way up? Who knows? Probably not.
Do any of us truly believe the Titans can pull that off?
No.
I don't. I'm not.
I don't think
convinced-
they need to.
I'm not
I don't
convinced
either.
they're trying to. I think they ought to trade back and get more draft picks. They got more holes than a Swiss cheese factory. I've used that one before.
Yes, you have.
They don't have the draft capital to move up. You can't afford to
See,
miss
that's
on
what
that spot.
I think.
They only
Yeah.
have 6 picks in this year's draft.
I think this is Kiper a little in over his head.
I'm like George though. I think. I think you move from the 11th spot down. I mean, I think you get more picks myself. I don't understand. Of course, the whole thing revolves around the quarterback situation. I say it over and over. I'm a Ryan Tannehill guy. I don't know why you need to make that crazy move like that to get a kid that has played 11 games in college. I'm just not sure of that.
Kiper projected that they would have to give up the 11th pick this year, their second round pick, which is number 41 this year, a 2024 first-round pick, and then a first or second-round pick in 2025. So that's a lot of capital to move up for the third best quarterback.
I don't
in the
think
draft.
I'm doing that.
No, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
That's it for the update, George.
That's
not a very busy news day.
Oh, no. After we get through with this, it'll be very busy.
Newsworthy.
I think so.
This next segment, college football fans, stay tuned.
If you love college football, you need to be watching after the break. And then all the fun will continue into the 3 o'clock hour. This is a College Football Wednesday on the show. But first, we tell you about the NBA playoffs, which continue tonight. The 2 games, New Orleans plays host to Oklahoma City, and the Bulls and Toronto go at it up in Canada. But that's not where we're going. Are you betting on the NBA playoffs? Well, today at Action 24/7, you can use the promo code GEORGE. I'm pretty fired up. I got a promo code. And get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. And I say that for a reason. These are good folks. They're local. They want local business, and they're going to treat you right. When you have questions or disputes, they'll get back to you in a hurry, which is what you expect. Download the app or visit Action 24/7 to start all that winning, and please bet responsibly.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
So let's start out with this, Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Okay. I believe there are people out there who pay very close attention to college football who have the opinion that in the changing world order of everybody shifting conferences and whatever, that ultimately there will be 20 what we call halves and everybody else can go jump in the lake. Now, Kelly, I have not always bought that. How about you?
I've not always bought that, but just what you're alluding to, I've started hearing that from coaches, and I don't even know if it's going to be 20, George. I mean, it may be 20. I don't know, but when everybody sees these stats and these numbers, I had a coach of another coach. You know how that goes. But I did have a coach say that with how the landscape of college football is and the money aspects of college football, there's only going to be a handful of teams that are really the ones that are going to make the national championship game every year.
So this document that we're about to show you was some incredible work by USA Today. And what they attempted to do was find out how much money each of the Power 5 schools is spending in the name of football recruiting. Now, some of you have seen some of this. My guess is you haven't seen all of this that I'm about to show you here in a minute. The private schools, the Vandy's, Baylor, TCU, because they're private schools, you're not going to see their stuff in this. So let's put this up here, and then I'll probably spit this water out. So let's can we go big screen and eliminate me and Kelly? This might be good for the show. Okay. Take a look in the middle. Georgia is the defending national champion, back to back. All of you know that. They are spending basically $1.5 million more dollars on recruiting than any other school in the country. Holy cow. Are you kidding me?
It's amazing, George. Like, when you showed me this the other day, I was like, that's something that we could talk about. It's just, and then you look over there at Clemson in the ACC. I mean, 3.1, everything in our society now is based on money. And that's why that coach told me that there's only going to be a handful of teams. Now, George said 20. I don't know, but you look at Oklahoma State at 455,000, and they've been pretty good the last couple of years. So that's just, you can see why George is at where they're at. They're willing to spend the money. I mean, $4.5 million, like you said, it's just so much significantly more than the other ones. It's crazy.
What we have done here is we have taken, and you'll be able to notice this, the top 3 or 4 per conference. And then the school that was identified as spending the least amount, and look at the differences. For instance, in the SEC, am I surprised that Texas A&M and Tennessee are up there? Yeah, frankly, my biggest surprise in the Southeastern Conference, Kelly, is the fact that Alabama spends half of what Georgia does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was thinking about that this morning. As you see, 2.3 million, but Alabama's got it working so much now that all these kids know that if they get a call from Nick Saban or if they get a letter from Alabama, you don't really have to do much recruiting. They've won so much there. He's put so many guys in the National Football League, and just listen to him talk. He's trying to create value for the kids, and he's when he goes into a house with mom and dad and brother and sister and all the families there, maybe grandma and granddad and aunt and uncle. I mean, he's a closer, and it speaks for himself. So I can understand that they don't have to spend quite as much, but Kirby Smart's a pretty good recruiter too, yet they're spending, almost half as much as Alabama.
Actually, double Alabama.
Double, excuse me, not half, double.
So, again, because it's a private school, we don't have Vandy's numbers, or at least USA Today didn't. Look at Mississippi State. They basically are spending less than 1/7 of what Georgia is. Look at that.
And with the Dak Prescott regime, obviously when they had that going, I mean, they made it to the number 1 team in the nation. So I guess when you're looking at this, it can be done. I mean, you look at what TCU did last year, and like you said, we don't have the numbers for private schools, but TCU did it last year. But that makes it kind of hard. It makes it kind of hard to compete when you look at Iowa at 577,000. And Iowa's had some really good teams. They've had some really good teams.
They probably are getting more bang for their buck.
Well, and that tells you that money isn't Iowa, you look at them, how much they're spending on the recruiting trail. They're not that far behind from a Michigan in that conference.
But what it does tell you probably with Iowa is Iowa, Nebraska, in that 3 or 4 state area right around there must be where they're doing everything they're doing.
And they're really good at recruiting kids that maybe have been overlooked, maybe not big enough for these bigger schools. And you get a coach that understands that understands a kid's going to grow. He can look at his frame. He can look at his feet and his hands. He might not be up to speed right now, but I mean, they go out and they recruit these kind of kids, and then they get them there. They may have to redshirt them, and then they get them on their weight program. They get them on a nutrition plan, and then they blossom into something that's really good.
Let's go to the right corner, Big 12 for a minute. So here's OU and Texas, and both of them have got what I have referred to as a bunch of J.R. Ewing wannabes, a bunch of donors who will throw silly money out there. Just look at the amount of spending that goes on the weekend they play each other at the Cotton Bowl and that Texas State Fair. They throw money around like crazy. So they're coming into the SEC, and it sure seems like from a monetary standpoint, they're going to fit in beautifully.
Oh, they're there. There's no question. I mean, they're there, but with the $2.6 million, and I know Lincoln Riley obviously left, but Oklahoma was really bad last year. And obviously Lincoln Riley knew that, or he would never have left. But 2.6 million, 2.4 million, absolutely. They can come in and compete right now.
Okay. The Oklahoma State thing, there's a cynicism on my end about Oklahoma State, and here goes. When T. Boone Pickens was alive, they were spending like it was going out of style.
Yeah.
They were sort of we're throwing silly money at everything because old T. Boone says we can. Well, T. Boone is no longer with us, and it looks to me like their athletic departments had to make a little adjustment.
Well, like you said, George, when T. Boone Pickens was alive, I mean, he was building stadiums. He was building weight rooms. He was building coaches' offices. He was doing all that for them. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we talked about this last week when we talked about it, but you're absolutely right. The T. Boone Pickens money is gone. Crazy. And Mike Gundy's doing a really good job of keeping them significant.
Yes.
At $455,000 a year for recruiting. I mean, they were ranked in the top 15 last year, and I think did they get in the top 10? At one point. So
I think they snuck in there at one point.
Yeah, they snuck into the top 10 at one point. So, I mean, you got to give it to him with that kind of budget, with what he's competing against, and he's still making the Oklahoma State Cowboys significant.
George, in the ACC, you look over there, Clemson, take Clemson out.
That's no surprise.
Right.
Clemson.
Right. Would take them out of it. And you look at North Carolina, Georgia Tech, NC State. Other than Clemson, the ACC has a problem on their hands with the football investment. I mean, Georgia Tech, they just hired a new coach, but they're still a few years away.
Well, let me stop you there. Okay, they're third on that ACC list. I was shocked. I thought they'd be dead last.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm saying that, Billy, having had some past relationship with Georgia Tech as an announcer, they have had huge money trouble. They have fired. They owed Paul Hewitt over $6 million. Brian Gregory, they had to pay off. Now they've had to pay off this guy, Collins, the football coach. And I was shocked to see Georgia Tech third. I thought they would be dead at the bottom.
Yeah, and at 1.2 million. I mean, that's up there with Ohio State. So. Yeah, I just look at the ACC and they look a little behind just compared to other conferences like the Big 12. All two of the Oklahoma, Texas, well, not Oklahoma State, but Oklahoma, Texas, 2.6 and nearly 3. SEC, everybody's up there, but so the ACC just looks a little behind.
So let's say it the way some of us have believed it, Kelly. I've never thought the ACC cared football-wise to the level that the SEC does.
I'm kind of with you on that. Like the ACC
it's always been a basketball conference.
Yeah, other than Clemson, I mean, they're known for a basketball conference. You got North Carolina and Duke and, all those teams. It's always been a basketball conference. And, the way it looks now, I mean, that's still what it seems like to me. But I'm with you with that Georgia Tech deal. I thought with the way that they've been down for so long that they would be way, way down at the bottom of the ACC. I really thought that. Now, you can understand Clemson because Clemson, when Dabo Swinney got there, he was kind of an unknown. They dumped money into that, into that organization. They dumped money into the Clemson football program. They've got a nice place. I mean, they've won national titles. Dabo Swinney has done a lot of good things at Clemson, but everybody else. But, when you look at Georgia Tech, how do you recruit kids? The biggest thing going for Georgia Tech is the city of Atlanta. I mean, there's not many, you look at the SEC, like Vanderbilt's at Nashville. You've got, Lexington with UK, but like Starkville, Mississippi, like Oxford, Mississippi, like Tuscaloosa, they're not big cities. You can sell that to a kid in Georgia Tech, but, even with them spending 1.2 million, they've been really bad for a while now.
Here's one that shocked me. If you had said to me, Rutgers is spending more in recruiting than Ohio State by $300,000 a year, according to this survey. Now, on one hand, Kelly, there's a part of me saying, if you really look at Ohio State's recruiting, Ohio is a talent-rich place that maybe doesn't require the number of dollars. Those kids in that state absolutely genuflect to the words Ohio State.
That's correct. I mean, even when I played for the Browns, I mean, it was all Ohio State. It was kind of like UT here in the state of Tennessee. I mean, it's when I went to the, I can remember so many times me having to go over to the facility on Saturday mornings and pulling up to a gas station, getting gas, and all these Ohio State people are going to the game. I mean, there's so many people in that state that love Ohio State. And if you're a kid, you grow up and you want to play for the Buckeyes, so if you stay in state, I mean, that cuts down travel costs for all these coaches. All they have to do is ask the kid. They know they're going. I mean, they lose some to Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, but not many. So I do understand that. But it's really funny because when I looked up there and I saw Michigan, and then I didn't realize Rutgers was in there, and I'm like, that R, what does that R stand for? And I'm like, that can't be Rutgers over Ohio State, and it sure is. It's amazing.
I don't know this. I'm wondering if it's Rutgers basically saying we have to go to the ends of the earth. We've got the coach we want in Greg Schiano. They brought him back. Is it them saying we have to go to the ends of the earth to get what we're going to get?
It's got to be. I mean, it's got to be. They've got to go all around the country. I mean, he's obviously been in Miami and done all that stuff. So he's going to the state of Florida, going down there and trying to get kids. I'm sure he's recruiting out in California. I just don't know how you get a kid from California to Rutgers, but I'm sure that you're absolutely right, George. They're having to pay so much money for their coaches to get on planes, to rent cars, to buy gas, to put them up in hotels, just to go all across the country to find players because there's just none up that way.
I'm really surprised not to see Penn State up there as well.
They were not far behind. I only had room for a certain number. They were right there with Carolina and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, because James Franklin has been there for almost a decade now, and they've been a consistent top 25 team trying to get over that hump into the playoff. I would say they were spending some money as well, just because Penn State's a historic program as well.
Sure.
So
yeah, that they were very close. It was just simply a matter of how much room did we have in the graphic.
And then with the ACC, I would be interested to see what the number would be on Notre Dame, even though they're a private school. They play that ACC conference style schedule. I would say they're up there competing money wise with the Clemsons in that North Carolina bracket. Notre Dame cares about football, obviously.
I don't believe I saw Notre Dame in the survey.
Well, they're private.
Well, it's because they were private, maybe.
Is Notre Dame?
Yes.
Notre Dame is private.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're lumped in with that ACC. So
yet another school, Kelly, you and I wouldn't have gotten in.
Yeah, no, I'll give you another hint too, George. I see Arizona State there. Why don't you ask your boy when he comes on? Does he come on Fridays with you?
Yes.
You got to ask him. You got to ask Herm Edwards. Like, you got to flash this up there for him and say,
how do you make that work?
Yeah, how do you make that work? Obviously, he didn't make that work. So you got to ask him.
Oklahoma State's making it work.
They are.
Yeah, but that may be where is the concentration of athletes you're trying to get.
I think they focus on the transfer portal more than they do recruiting high school kids.
First of all, they got a logo that, from the look of it, do you really know it's Arizona State?
No. I mean, if you look close enough, it's that small. It appears very small.
What your logo's supposed to do? That the minute you see it,
Yeah, well,
not
in Arizona,
that has anything to do with anything, but it just.
But yeah, I mean, the teams up here, most logos pop. Other than maybe Rutgers. Kelly said, "What's that R?"
I really did. I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, that's Rutgers.
Yeah,
It's reading and writing and arithmetic.
But yeah, I mean, Arizona State, George, they're not. I would say they're known for football prowess. They don't have much tradition. The area, you're in the Pac-12, so you would think they could recruit well enough in that conference, but I don't know. That's always been a conundrum to me. Why a team like Arizona State hasn't performed better?
In the Pac-12, I don't think it's any surprise. Oregon has competed for national titles in the Marcus Mariota era. So to have them on top.
Thanks to Phil Knight.
Yes.
Where's USC, though?
USC a private school?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're private. But they might be up there with Oregon.
I'm not so sure they're private. We'll have to check that one out.
Well, it's another school I didn't get in.
Lincoln Riley is big there. Caleb Williams is big there as well. I would say they're spending some money down there as well.
Remember, this is USA Today's list.
Okay.
And all I can say is it's pretty shocking to look at Georgia at 4.5. And I'll say this, when we come back, we're gonna bat this around and offer a few thoughts, some of which you will agree with, most of which you probably won't. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Billy, do we have new music?
Yes, we do.
Really?
Yeah. You like it?
Yeah.
We're trying to appease Kelly. We feel like with him coming on, we need some new things to the show. We got
I agree.
an opening as well.
I wanted to say that, but I mean, I really, I feel like I've known Billy for a while because I can bust your chops. But David, I mean, I'm trying to be a little lighter on you, but like some of the music we have is like, I want to go to sleep. So, I mean, is there anything else we can do with that?
Well, is there anything about the show you do like?
I enjoy being on it. I mean, I do enjoy being on it. Yeah.
Right. But I can tell you with this attitude, not for long.
And when you came on today, you had your polo. You said it's a polo. I said Knights of the Round Table.
It is
you
a
said
polo.
a long time ago it used to be red.
Right.
But when you wear it for 30 years in a row, it looks like chartreuse. It looks like fishing tackle.
Billy, would you not admit that
it looks darker in person?
Yeah.
It really looks bad.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You can
go ahead and say it, George. Go ahead and say it.
I'd love to. I would really love to. So here is the issue that I think needs to get brought up. And some of you will say this is nuts, but here goes. Let's put the graphic back up there. So clearly Georgia is a have. And at 4.5 million. And there are a bunch of others that are spending out the you-know-what in football recruiting. And it's not like we've ever had a level playing field in college football. It's always been, for the most part, the same 15 schools that ultimately you put in a hat and you say, okay, one of these 15 is going to win it all. Right, Kelly?
That's correct. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look over the years, it's been, Alabama's always been there. Ohio State, Michigan was down, but they've come back. UT was down. Now they're coming back. So, it's always been the same ones.
It's been NIL and the new age has been an enabler for several programs. I mean, it's sort of helped jumpstart a program like Tennessee, maybe Texas, here in the next couple of years.
Don't ask me how this would happen. I have no idea. I don't know the machinery that ultimately would decide this. Does college football need a salary cap on the number of dollars you can earmark for recruiting?
That's a really good question, George. I mean, that could be, that could be a means to kind of equal out the playing field with all this. But that also could mean that, the Georgias, the Texas A&Ms, the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Michigans, all those teams say, hey, forget the NCAA. we're starting our own thing, which, everybody says that that's what's going to happen at some point anyway. So that could start this trend going downhill for the NCAA. I don't know if you can make that power move. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know how you do that, but it certainly seems like there's only going to be 5 to 10 teams every year. You see the money, there's only going to be 5 to 10 teams that are competing every year for the national championship, like the Mississippi States, which is, other than that one year with Dak Prescott, I mean, they've had some good teams, but, and then you look at the Arizona States, the Iowa, I mean, can they compete with that? You've got to do a really good job of recruiting, like I talked about earlier, with hitting on kids that these other big schools didn't want, that might not be ready right now, but 2 or 3 years later, they could be really good players. I don't know.
I'm guessing, as I brought up earlier, that Iowa is able to get whatever they need done in a small area where they're not having to travel, the entire country to do.
I agree, but when you look at Georgia, with them spending that much money, does that mean that the powerhouse Georgia is going all over the country again too to get all these kids?
Well, think about one of their best players, Brock Bowers, great tight end.
Yeah,
he's from out in California.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now, you could make the argument that, for instance, years ago, Jan Van Bredikoff, great Vanderbilt basketball player of the 70s, California. Father was the coach of the Lakers.
Right.
If Jan's watching, hope you appreciated the plug. But I don't know. I mean, I look at this, and I don't see how this can be healthy.
Yeah, but everything's going to NIL money too with the kids. So I know that Ohio State tried to get CJ Stroud to stay for one more year, and they had him a bunch of money. And we talked about it today. I mean, it sounds like the same thing happened at South Carolina. So,
yeah, absolutely, it did. The kid helped me.
Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler. He was able to parlay 2 really good games at the end of the season because, frankly, he had not been all that impressive.
No.
But then he put back-to-back monster games together. All of you know who they were, against Tennessee and against Clemson, and he parlayed that into, I'm told, close to 7 figures to stay at South Carolina instead of put his name into the NFL hat. Anyway, I would assume, Kelly, that what you would have is those 15 or 20 schools that would go berserk, and the rest of them would probably be for it.
I think you're absolutely right, because they would like an equal playing field, but then you look at the powers that be, which always run things, and they've been on top for quite a long time now, and they don't want to get their recruiting budget kicked down to what they don't want. They want to be able to spend what they want to spend. So I think that's a valid point, George, about bringing up a salary cap, just like they do in the National Football League. But I don't know how you do that in college. And you like I said, I think the NCAA, if you start doing that, there's a fine line there, because I think you're getting some disgruntled employees among the country with all these schools, and that might be the thing that sets them over the edge about, hey, let's start something our own. We don't need them. We're making money. We've got the people watching us. We've got all the TV. We can get the TV deals. We don't have to worry about the NCAA. So that's a fine line right there, if you think about it.
No, you're absolutely right. It is the issue. Now, look, it's never going to happen. It's me throwing a pie in the sky thing out there. It's not going to happen. But let's say, for argument's sake, that we said to these schools, your cap is $2 million. You can't go above $2 million, and we're going to bring the NFL, salary cap people in here, and we're going to see to it that you live by this. If you truly had that, Kelly, what would happen? What would
they'd have to figure it out. Just like the NFL people have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. And $2 million, that's quite a bit of money. There's teams on there like North Carolina, Georgia Tech. They're not going to 2 million. There's a few going over 2 million, and obviously Georgia. But I mean, if you can't get that done with 2 million, especially with the transfer portal now, you ought to be able to do everything you wanted to do with get coaches out, all the expenditures that you have to pay for all that stuff. You should be able to do that in $2 million. Now, I don't know if that, $2 million is quite a bit to me. I think you would even curve it off a little bit more to that. Now, if you start curving it off a little bit more, then I think those teams will get a little upset, and they might start thinking, hey, we're going to do something else.
Now, here's the flip side argument. The flip side comes from Major League Baseball, where the Yankees have spent over the years more than anybody.
Yeah.
They have not won a world title in 13 and a half years. Terry McCormick, if you're listening, congratulations. Not a lot of bang for your buck. Tampa Bay Rays have been probably one of the 3 or 4 lowest payrolls for a long time, and they have consistently churned out wins. In that amount of time, the Dodgers have been another huge spender. 1 world title to show for it. The Braves, who have spent way less than the Dodgers, also have 1 world title to show for it. That would be the argument that a lot of people would throw out there is, look at Major League Baseball. It doesn't guarantee winning. Kansas City Royals won a world title. They're near the bottom. That's kind of the art. I'm just really curious what would happen if we had a recruiting salary cap.
I think that's a really good idea, but it's just like the Billy Bean and the Oakland A's back in the day, the Moneyball movie. He figured it out. They had to cut a bunch of costs, and they figured that out. I mean, teams figure stuff out. Colleges will figure stuff out, and I think I'm not I've asked everybody on this show about the transfer portal. I'm not a huge transfer portal guy. Now, I know people transfer because I understand that certain situations sometimes, especially if you go there and it's not the coach that recruited you gets fired. Well, heck, it's just like the NFL. It's just like anything else. The coach that gets hired wants to bring in his own people. So I understand that. You've got to win him over, and he didn't recruit you. So I can get those situations. But like when you're transferring multiple times, I mean, just like the JT Daniels kid, he went to USC, then he went to Georgia, then he went to West Virginia, and I heard that he may transfer again. So that stuff like that is that's ridiculous to me. And I think that you've brought up a good point about being a salary cap with that. I don't know if I'm assuming the coaches care, but you've never really heard about this. This is the first time I've heard about it when you sent it over to me the other day.
Oh,
so
it's great work by USA Today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the coaches. I'm assuming they care. I'm assuming, but like, I don't know. But I think that's a great point you've brought up, and I think it's something to be thought about. But I think teams and colleges and universities understand, and they just adjust to whatever's done.
Now, you want the best line I've ever put out on this show?
Let me hear it.
It involves JT Daniels.
Oh,
so
boy.
You're right. He's transferred 4 times in 4 years. And so I announced to Watson one day that the Rose Bowl parade was going to add a transfer portal float and that JT Daniels would be the grand marshal.
Hey, let me ask you this, because this transfer portal, I've never really thought about this, but how does that transfer deal work? I mean, I know that you go into the portal, but like when you go into a portal, is a team, can they recruit you, or you just, how does all that work? Do we know, like, does a coach contact you, or do they just say, hey, I want to go here? How does all that work? Do you have to spend any money recruiting them?
First of all, the biggest load of bull right now, the biggest amount of cheating going on is schools contacting kids that they think
there's no
are
doubt.
playing at a level below what they could play at.
No doubt.
Now, there's supposed to be a window where they can legally do it, but they're all breaking that. That may be the next big cheating deal, is you find out that X school from, August on deluged this particular kid, and they sent him 540 different messages saying, come play for us.
Yeah.
We're a better conference. And so that's the illegal part of it. The legal part is that once the kid gets into the transfer portal, I think he's fair game to now be recruited by anybody.
Okay, I got you. And taking it a little further, like say you're a coach in college at a big time school and you're recruiting these two kids that are buddies from the same school, and one of them comes to your school and one of them goes to another school. Well, you can't tell me that the coach is not keeping up with that kid and asking about him through his kid.
Sure.
That he's gotten signed already. And he's like, hey, how does so-and-so, does he like it up there? I hear things aren't going too well. Hey, how about giving him a call?
I hear Johnny flunked chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you that stuff's going on, and I guarantee
it is.
There's some hirings right now going on, finding out about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. Kelly, I got to run on that. We've got to go to a commercial break, and then, of course, as you know, the dreaded stat of the day is coming up, and then we will continue with college football talk, but it'll be under the sponsorship of Kelly Holcomb's World of Football. I know all of you breathlessly await. Stick around. God only knows where this is going.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster & Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
You know, George, I'm really hoping Kelly likes this song right here.
Who cares? I mean, what is he ever like?
Hey, I do it for Kelly.
Really?
I like that, Billy.
Hey,
if I get Kelly's approval, man,
listen,
it's a good day.
If you're trying to please him, you're going to have a tough life.
I got $100 for you later on there, Billy. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I can't wait.
Appreciate
Kelly,
it.
I know you can't wait for Stat of the Day. It's brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards.
Can I ask a couple of things before we go there?
Go ahead, George.
Number one, if a person wants to give us their opinion of a college football salary cap on recruiting that I threw out earlier, how do they do that?
Well, all they got to do is go to YouTube. There's a chat room on that right side, and they can type in their question, press enter, and we will see that question pop up. You can also do it on Twitter and Facebook as well in the comment section. So that's all they got to do. It's both comment sections for all the streaming platforms are pretty easy to use.
If you are watching the show live right now, I'm asking you to do this because I want to read a few of these later on. Probably there'll be one or two. George is an idiot. We'll delete those. David, before we reveal this question, you copped quite the attitude on Kelly, and I think he needs to know about it.
Well, what's happening?
Kelly has a chance today. I don't think you got it today. Not on this
Well, I'm
question.
sure I don't. I mean, I've never been good at trivia. I've never been good at this stuff. Because here's the deal. My mind does not work like that. I can't remember things.
You got Derek Jeter yesterday.
What's that?
You got Derek Jeter yesterday.
I did get Derek Jeter. I mean, I was good with
Wait
that.
a minute, what was it you just said? My mind doesn't what?
My mind doesn't work sometimes, and it doesn't work when it comes to trivia stuff. And, it's not a good thing later on in life, and I'm trying to deal with it now as I'm a younger guy,
Oh, that's not a good sign.
Take a lot
I understand that. So it's not funny, David, to make fun of me like that because I have problems with memory. So way to go. Thank you.
So he's going to rip the snot out of you at some point. I feel a cold front coming into your life very soon. Okay.
Here we go. With Winnipeg, we're going NHL. Mm-hmm. With Winnipeg's win last night in Minnesota, the Preds were officially eliminated from the playoffs. That ended a streak of 8 straight playoff appearances. Wow. Only one other franchise in the NHL has a longer active playoff streak. Can you name that NHL team?
Ooh. Kelly, let's you and I talk about this for a minute before they zap us. You want to know what I think?
Well, would it be the Tampa Bay Lightning?
I think it's the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So let's try Kelly's first. Is it Tampa Bay? Kelly, congratulations.
No problem.
Might it be the old Penguins?
Oh, nice. 15 consecutive.
Atta baby George.
Here's the thing, and when did Mario Lemieux retire?
I don't know.
Because they've had a Mario Lemieux, they've had a Sid the Kid, Sidney Crosby. I mean, they've been pretty good for a good while now.
Lemieux retired in 2006. So that's how long they've
16
been
consecutive.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Big.
Are we now prepared for Kelly's Open?
We are prepared for Kelly's World of Football.
I hope it meets his approval. It's a moment you have breathlessly awaited. It's time for Kelly Holcomb's World of Football. As shocking as this may sound, Kelly Holcomb's World of Football has sponsors. It's brought to you in part by Baird Financial with Yaz Hassan and Justin Oldham, and by State Farm Insurance, located in Murfreesboro, through agent Celeste Middleton.
Yeah. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you heard it.
I like it.
Okay.
There we go.
I like it.
Where are you going today with your World of Football?
Well, I thought since, this is kind of out of my comfort zone. I'm not as experienced in the college game as I keep up with the pro game. But since we were talking about all those numbers and, the recruiting money that all these teams spend, I just thought we'd keep it in college. And, since this is SEC country, I thought we would talk about, look at all the quarterbacks who are the projected starters for the SEC schools. And, I know there's a couple of quarterback battles going on, but let's just look at the QBs.
So Kelly, here's what we'll do. We'll start in the East in the SEC, then we'll go to the West.
Okay.
And we'll start with Georgia. So I'll pop up.
Hold on a second. When do you make that decision?
Well, I'm the one that puts the pictures up there, George. I don't
George.
Is that at all usurping my authority?
Hey, George is pulling a little power. He's pulling a little power play on you guys.
A little ego there.
Billy tried to take over, and I was
for a
like,
reason.
Well, Kelly said,
Not
let's
so
talk
fast.
quarterbacks.
Let's
What more did you want to say there, George?
that I'll make that decision, whether we go east or west.
Give me a break.
Okay. So this kid at Georgia, Carson Beck.
Yeah.
Kelly, I thought he did a great job of handing the ball off a year ago when they were up 45-2.
He did, but he's been there. He's been there for a while, and he's looking to get his shot. And I think that he did a good job. I mean, you could tell in the couple of games that he did get in that he's got some game. He's waited his turn, and it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, with Stetson Bennett leaving, who Kirby Smart tried to run off from day one that he got there, and then obviously Stetson Bennett hung in there he hung in there pretty tough, and he overcame all that, and he led them to 2 national championships. So Carson Beck is awaiting his turn, and he's a projected starter, and let's see if he can keep the Georgia Bulldogs rolling with their $4.5 million recruiting budget. I'm sure he's got some guys that he can throw it to, and he's got a really good tight end, and Brock Bowers that you talked about earlier. They lost one, but I think they got one upcoming. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do next year without Stetson Bennett.
Does it worry you at all? I'm trying to think. I don't believe Beck ever got thrown into a setting where a game was on the line at all.
No,
I don't remember Stetson Bennett getting hurt and Beck having to come in when it ever mattered.
No, he did not. I mean, he it was they didn't have many games last year where it was even close. other than, they got tested obviously in the Ohio State game, but, he never came into really a meaningful moment during the season. I know that he obviously came in the national championship game, and I know that was a big thrill for him being on center stage in the big game of the year. But I don't think he ever showed up in any game where, Stetson Bennett got messed up or got knocked down real hard and had to set out a couple where he had to go in some meaningful snaps. So that's, and I was listening to a deal with Kirby Smart talking about, all his quarterbacks, all his young quarterbacks not making bonehead decisions. Make sure, he said first and second down, he's like, we run, we can play action, we can throw a quick game or something like that. But he's like, when a quarterback really makes his worth is on third down, and you got to be smart on third down. And he said, it's okay to punt. We want to end every possession with a kick, with a punt, with a field goal, or with an extra point. That's how you have to look at it as a quarterback. And he's really excited about how Carson Beck has done.
Okay, Billy, with your approval, do we go to the University of Florida?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Now, these are the projected starters at this point. This is
Correct.
Graham Mertz, who transferred from Wisconsin. To me, this is a weird fit. This, to me, is a round peg in a square hole. Kelly, I don't know that I'm right, but I remember when I first saw it, I was like, that's all I could come with was,
Yeah, I don't know. And they got another kid who's battling with him is Jack Miller. He's an Ohio State transfer. So,
right.
I talked to a buddy who's close to the situation down there. He said that is a quarterback competition, but he did say that he thought in the end Graham Mertz would probably win out. Obviously with the Emory guy leaving because he knew the writing was on the wall with Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson played 11 games last year, and he, obviously did. He played good in some and played bad in others. But he was one of those guys that, came in and kind of set the world on fire, and they're seeing it right now in the combine. I don't know. It's, time will tell in the National Football League, but I don't know. You're kind of right about Graham Mertz. He's, he's from Wisconsin, kind of a big, slow guy that, can throw the ball. When you're at Wisconsin, you're an under center a bunch. You hand the ball off a bunch. You throw a lot of play actions. He's coming into the system, where they obviously like to use the quarterback in run game situations. So, I don't know. He needs to, if you look at his numbers, he had 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions last year, but he's only completing the ball at 57.3%. So, as a quarterback, you want to get that up over 60%. You would like to be closer to 70%. So it's going to be interesting to see how that quarterback battle plays out. And, if he's the guy, then he'll be the guy.
At Tennessee, Joe Milton goes in as the starter based on the Orange Bowl performance against Clemson. Kelly, I had thought that this was a kid who can throw it a million miles, but would grab the sawdust out of the ball and had nothing but fastball. But I'll admit, he sort of shocked me in the Orange Bowl because it looked like they had really worked with him on the problem areas.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with Josh Heupel's offense. I mean, everybody's talking about his offense, but how he spreads it around. Now the one picture I remember is when Joe Milton came down. He's obviously a transfer from the University of Michigan, but he started that first game against Pittsburgh in Neyland Stadium a couple of years ago.
Right.
And he literally, if he could have completed any balls, I mean, that game wouldn't even have been close. There were guys running wide open, and his touch was not very good. Now, like you said, I mean, that's how Hendon Hooker came on the scene because Joe Milton was a starter. But when you see him in the Orange Bowl, it looked like he's settled down. He's matured. He can throw it through a wall. There's no question about that. Now, he still has some accuracy issues when he's throwing the ball downfield. I mean, you look at Hendon Hooker.
Right.
And he had guys wide open, and it's a lot of issues where when you got a guy wide open, you don't want to overthrow him. So a lot of those guys are waiting. Jalen Hyde had to wait on the balls a couple of times, and I've heard some, criticism about that with Hendon Hooker. But, you don't want to overthrow him. Well, that was what Joe Milton, that first game against Pittsburgh a couple of years ago, that's what I was like, golly, this guy can't hit the ocean from the beach. But, he obviously settled down. He's a big kid. they've got a guy in waiting. I don't know. How do you say Nico's last name? Is it Lama?
Liava, I'm pretty sure.
Lama Liava.
I would like
Nico.
to buy the vowel A.
Yeah, absolutely. They wear it out. But, he's obviously waiting. But, if Joe Milton plays like he did in the Orange Bowl, then UT's got their quarterback. Now, if he struggles like he did to start that season, then Nico's going to have to get ready real quick. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with all that.
Because the fans are going to be on top of Josh Heupel.
Oh, you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and there's so many expectations. I mean, he did, he had the University of Tennessee at the #1 ranking when the playoffs came out last year, the playoff ranking. So, I mean, there's a lot of expectations with Tennessee fans.
Let's go to Kentucky. For the second time, they go transfer portal.
Right.
It worked pretty darn well with Will Levis, even though he's catching a lot of criticism right now as the NFL draft approaches. So Kentucky has gone to NC State to get Devin Leary. And Kelly, I like this move.
I really do too. I don't know too much about him. I remember watching him for just a very smidget. I don't remember watching him much, but I can remember them talking about him. And then he got injured last year. So I think he's you look at his numbers and they're consistent. I mean, he's over 60% completion percentage. So, obviously Coach Stoops loved Will Levis. He played a lot of the year. I've talked to Tim Couch, and Tim loved Will too. I have some questions there, but, he said he played a lot of the year hurt last year. But, that's where all this transfer portal stuff comes in. And the quarterback position is where you can upgrade really quick in the transfer portal. And I think that's what's happened. You've got a guy that in Will Levis who goes off to the NFL draft and is going to be one of these high picks. And then you're looking for a quarterback and you look on your roster. Well, you're not sure, but you're always looking to get better. And then, hey, the Devin Leary kid comes up, and I think he's a tough kid. I think he completes balls. So if you're Coach Stoops, I think he's upgraded with Devin Leary. I really do.
Show us the picture of Spencer Rattler. There he is. We've talked about him during the 2:00 hour. So we're going to move to Missouri, where I think one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league last year was Brady Cook. I liked him. I thought he was pretty good.
Well, other than KJ Jefferson, he's probably the most, and Spencer Rattler's got obviously he's got some experience, but, the Brady Cook kid coming back from Missouri has, they're talking about him of one of the kids that has a lot of experience coming back. So he's penciled in as the starter. He played last year. He can rush it. I mean, he's got rushing TDs. He had 14 touchdowns passing last year. I think he had 9 rushing. So he's a consistent kid, and he seems to be like he is a good leader, and that's what the coaching staff wants. You want somebody behind center that the kids believe in, and I think Brady Cook is that guy.
At Vandy, A.J. Swan is the starter going in. They had beaten out Maryland about a year and a half ago to get A.J. Swan. Kelly, I don't think it's a question of athletic ability or is he good enough, but he did have a couple of concussion issues.
Right.
To me, that's the concern about him.
Well, the kid at Troy, my son is at Troy, and he's had some concussion issues, and I told him he needs to wear a mouthpiece. When I played, I didn't wear a mouthpiece, and I used to have a bunch of concussions and started wearing one. Kurt Warner was the same way. That's a deal right there that you don't want to get into as a young guy. I mean, having a bunch of concussions. So I know he got hurt during the season last year, and Mike Wright had to come in, but A.J. Swan is Clark Lee's guy. He had really good numbers. He's got to get his completion percentage up. When I went down there, I watched the game, and the kid, Ken Seals kid, looked pretty good. But you look at the spring game, and he had his worst day in the spring game is what they're talking about. So A.J. Swan is going to be their guy. I really like Clark Lee as a coach. He was on Paul Feinbaum the other day, and he's still talking about how we want to be one of those we want to be an outstanding program. We want to be one of the upper echelon programs. And, that's kind of hard listening to that from Vanderbilt. I know you're a Vanderbilt guy, and I don't know if you can get that done there. But you know what? Just looking at all the things, he's recruited well. They talk about their defensive line looking better than it's looked in years. So he's he knew the situation he was getting to. He's a former Vanderbilt guy, and you got to give him props because he's still saying all the right things.
Okay, when we come back, we'll go SEC West, where about half of the field is guys you know something about. Stick around. But first, I'm going to tell you about Action 24/7 and what's going on. NBA playoffs continue tonight with the play-in games. Toronto and the Bulls is game one. OKC and, OKC and New Orleans is game two. But the point is, are you betting the NBA playoffs? Well, today at Action 24/7, you can use the promo code George and get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. I say that for a reason. These are local people wanting local business, and they're going to treat you good because that's how we do things in this state. Download the app or visit action247.com to start all that winning, and please bet responsibly.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
We are back. Kelly Holcomb's World of Football extending into a second segment. Unheard of, unprecedented. But nonetheless, good stuff. He's sort of projecting SEC starting quarterbacks. And again, this is nothing but projections at this point, doesn't guarantee it. Things can change, injuries can happen. Anyway, let's go SEC West. And let's start, I would guess, with Alabama, where suddenly there's not a name we know a lot about, at least not yet.
No, and you're seeing Jalen Milroe here. They came in last year in the Texas A&M game, and he's a really good athlete. He's big, he's thick. He kind of looks like a linebacker. But they've got a kid here too from Martin, Tennessee, that played for his dad, Ty Simpson. Who's you look on their website and you look at the SEC stuff, and Nick Saban's not going to give you much, saying they're both doing a really good job. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because. When is the last time that Alabama's gone into a season where there's not been a true starter? I mean, you go back to Tua. I mean, even A.J. McCarron, brought him 2 national championships, and then you got Tua, you got Jalen Hurts started out, and then Tua, and then you go to Mac Jones, and then obviously Bryce Young this last couple of years. I mean, it's become kind of quarterback you. But you can say that about UT as well. I mean, they've kind of gone quarterback you, but, this is really the question mark that Alabama has. I mean, Alabama's always going to be Alabama, but, who is going to be their quarterback this year? Is it going to be Justin Milroe, who came in, when Bryce Young got hurt last year? Is it going to be the kid from Martin, Ty Simpson? Going to be interesting to see how that plays out for Nick Saban.
And, Kelly, initially you see this, Bryce Young, Alabama, that – they're going to be really hurting at the quarterback position. I don't know if I'd agree. Do you agree with me there saying maybe this helps Alabama a little bit because you can work around the quarterback who may not be a star and you can, sort of have a more balanced offense as opposed to snapping to Bryce Young and saying, go work your magic?
Yeah, just go play. Well, I mean, you could be right. I think the Simpson kid from Martin is a better passer, obviously, but – if Milroe is going to be the starter, I know that Tommy Rees is the new offensive coordinator for those guys, and listen to Coach Saban talk about him. He really likes him. He fits in well with the guys. If Milroe is going to be the starter, you got to kind of put an offense around him where he can run the ball. He can do some zone read stuff. I mean, Bryce Young wasn't doing that. I mean, he was strictly passing. Neither was Tua. Mac Jones couldn't do it. So it might be one of those deals where you have to have kind of an offense for Milroe, and then if Simpson plays, you got to have an offense for him. But that's why they're getting paid all that money. But it could help. I don't know. You're absolutely right because everything was predicated around Bryce Young, and that's why he didn't have a very good team around him last year. But he got those guys to winning games. Like if they don't have him last year, I don't know how many games Alabama wins.
Oh, you got that right. He masked. Not that they had a lot of deficiencies, but he masked some things.
Yes, he did.
By his brilliance. Okay, at Arkansas, no competition. This is KJ Jefferson. The only question is, does he take a step up, Kelly, to go from pretty good to more like great?
Well, I think he has to. I think if you look at Coach Pittman's team, I mean, they start off really well. We're thinking, they're going to be really good this year. At the beginning of the year, they'll pop off 4 and 5 wins in a row, and they've had no losses. And then it just comes to a certain point of the season. I don't know what happens with them where they just drop off a cliff. But I think KJ Jefferson, I like watching him play the game. I didn't have his game. Obviously, he's a big, thick guy. He can throw the ball. He can run the ball. He can put the team on his back. And that's what he's done for Arkansas the last couple of years. Now, I'm with you. Can he take that next step, and get them over the hump of, that mid-season slump and have them playing good all year where they can be in the conversation at the end of the year? I don't know. We'll see. But he's the legitimate starter for Arkansas.
Auburn, of course, with a new coach and a new enthusiasm that was not there a year ago. I felt bad at times for this kid, Robbie Ashford, because I thought, Kelly, he basically was running for his life behind a patchwork offensive line. I don't know what to think about him.
He was, you do feel kind of bad for him because he was running, but you could tell that the kid is competitive and he's got a desire to win. He's a fighter. So I don't know what Hugh Freeze is going to do. I was listening to him the other day. There's another kid, a Gurner kid, that is fighting along with Robbie Ashford for the starting position. I think the kid has got something, but just listening to words from Hugh Freeze, he says if a coach tells you that he's not trying to upgrade his team, he's lying to you. And I can see them, going to the transfer portal. It seems like late in the game being, going to the transfer portal because it seems like all the guys are gone. But, there's obviously some diamonds in the rough that you might be able to find. But I can see him going to the transfer portal. But, I think Robbie Ashford's got some ability. I really do. He's got to learn how to get his, he's got to learn how to throw the football. He's got to learn. He was so gun shy last year with the offensive line. He didn't have much. And when he took a drop, it looked like he was looking for his first receiver and taking off running. So Hugh Freeze will fix that, and we'll see if him or Gurner, win the job.
Kelly, I've heard from a bunch of Auburn fans saying, "Oh, we're fine. We've got Hugh Freeze, the quarterback whisperer. He'll fix Robbie Ashford." How much of an impact can a college coach truly have on a young quarterback like an Ashford who doesn't have all the traits, but if you bring in the coach, like how much can he be fixed? I guess I don't know if that's the right way to ask it.
Well, all you have to do is look at what Tennessee did with Hendon Hooker. I mean, he transferred from Virginia Tech, and and I've talked about it. Jeremy's my guy, but like if Jeremy stayed as the coach, is Hendon Hooker where he is in the draft?
No,
without Josh Heupel. So
no
Hugh Freeze, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's from Pulaski. They played at Hugh Freeze.
Bo Wallace.
Yes. Bo Wallace, he made Bo Wallace into something at Ole Miss. So, there's guys, they used to call Bruce Arians, my guy, a quarterback whisperer because he's been with Peyton. He's been with Andrew Luck, Tom Brady. He's been around a bunch of good quarterbacks. There's just certain guys that understand the game. I think Doug Peterson is one of those guys. He played the position. He understands the position. And I think Hugh Freeze is one of those guys too. It's going to be hard once he gets, they're down right now. And I don't know how good they're going to be next year. But when he gets this thing rolling, you can look what he did at Ole Miss with his offense. I think they'll be really good, a couple of years down the road.
Okay, Ole Miss is one that's a mystery to me. Jackson Dart, the more I watched him, Kelly, the less impressed I was. And in the game against Mississippi State, starts out really good, but the longer it went on, the less excited I was about him.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about him either, George. I'm not a fan. I got to see him, they played Troy the first game of the year, and I got to watch that game, and I know it's the first game of the year, and I know that was his first start at Ole Miss, but I just wasn't I wasn't that impressed. Now, he's got some okay numbers, and he can run the ball. He's what the coaches want. You can run it and pass it, and that's this new style of offensive football in today's football. But he's got to show me some more, but obviously Lane Kiffin likes him, and Lane Kiffin's obviously one of those quarterback whisperers too. So, he seems like he's coming in as the undisputed, quarterback in the room. So we'll see if he can, make Lane Kiffin's team rise to another level, or is he going to stay the same? For me, he's got to show me a little bit more.
Late in the year when A&M was really struggling and the pressure, on Jimbo was really getting intense.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden he turned to this kid, Connor Wegman. And the game I saw, this young guy was pretty good. I liked what I saw.
I think he was
I think it was against LSU.
Was it LSU or Alabama? I don't remember.
It
was
might
one
have
of them.
been that Alabama game.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
you
it was
might
the
be right
Alabama
about
game. Was he the one that played against Alabama?
I'm gonna look it up right now. I think you're right, Kelly.
Yeah, he's I don't understand how there's not a quarterback battle there either. Max Johnson, the transfer from LSU, Brad Johnson's son. I really like watching him. But if he was the one that played in that Alabama game, which it seems like it may have been, man, he made some unbelievable plays.
It was Haynes King, actually.
Yeah, Haynes. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. I didn't think it was him. But I do remember seeing the Connor Wegman kid. And, like we said, this is a projected. We don't know if he's going to be the starter, but that's what, everybody's saying. But, I just see a quarterback controversy there too as well, because I've always been a Max Johnson guy, and he played well at LSU. We'll see how this transpires, but right now I think Connor Wegman is the starter. So we'll see how all that transpires later on.
Okay, Mississippi State, no doubt, Will Rogers. Never
No
met a
doubt.
receiver he didn't like.
Where does Mike Wright fit in there? Do they, the Vanderbilt transfer, do they bring him into some packages? Because, with his speed, or is he not a realistic option anywhere
It's a
there?
very good question.
I mean,
Well,
you gotta wonder.
we hate what happened, obviously, to Mike Leach. He threw the ball all over the place. But with Zach Arnett, how is it going to change? I mean, is he going to have more of a balanced attack with Will Rogers, where he hands the ball off more? Or are they're going to still go to running gun? Now, if they start wanting to run the ball some more, I can see Mike White getting some spots in there where because Mike Wright is good with that stuff. I mean, I thought when he came in for Vanderbilt last year, Vanderbilt was not very good blocking. I thought when he came in some games, he gave them the best opportunity to win some games with his legs. But, Will Rogers is kind of the undisputed guy. I mean, he almost threw for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. So he's a thrower, and we'll see with the new coach taking over for the late, Mike Leach. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, here's another mystery to me. Jaden Daniels at LSU, the Arizona State transfer. Kelly, there were certain days where I was like, oh, yeah, the pilot light is on. And then there were other times where I'd give it sort of a, I'm doing that a lot today, aren't I?
It's not easy being a quarterback, George. You ever done it?
In 5th grade, yes.
Flag football doesn't count.
Well, the problem was I didn't want to get hit.
I can see that. But, Jaden Daniels is obviously the unquestioned guy for LSU. Now, he came on the scene last year. Obviously, you said he transferred from Arizona State. I like him. I think he's really good. He can do it both running and throwing. He beat Alabama last year. He had some big wins, had some letdowns too. It's not easy playing for Brian Kelly. And if you can watch, he yelled at him quite a bit.
Oh,
I think at the beginning of the year, he was just trying to feel his way, and it was kind of a getting to know each other period. But there towards the end of the year, I thought he really started playing well. And, me personally, with the quarterback situation going on at Alabama, I think LSU is a team to beat in the West. That's just me.
Ooh.
Wow. Well,
what is y'all's thoughts about that?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to ever go against Nick Saban.
This is the one year it's hard to as well.
Yeah,
after everything that happened last year.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to think that he's pissed off that they were not in the college football playoff, and when he gets like that, he makes life miserable, and those kids know they've got to perform, and he pulls the magic.
And apparently, he's confident in what he's got. He likes what he's got this year.
But Alabama, LSU, November might,
and it's at Tuscaloosa this year, right?
Yep.
Kelly may have something.
There's a lot of revenge games for for Alabama next year. I meant to say, they get Tennessee at home, they get LSU at home, so that'll be interesting. But back to LSU, George, Garrett Nussmeier played really well when he got the chance.
He did.
He played well in garbage time, I know, but I think he might have thrown for 3 touchdowns, crazy yardage numbers in that SEC title, and then he played well against Purdue in the bowl game. So I'm not saying this guy is going to start, but I think he's closer than a lot of people think to.
I think you're right about that.
To maybe winning.
I think you could be right, but I just think, I think this kid's really good. I do. Now, I saw, of course, I played with his daddy. His daddy was with us in Indianapolis, so I know Doug. Doug's obviously, he's a quarterback coach for the Dallas Cowboys, but I think Jaden Daniels is really good. I thought the Nussmeier kid came in and played well, but I think he's there. I think that kid's there for a reason. He took all of Brian Kelly's bullying and, he came through it. So we'll see what happens.
That'll harden you for life.
Yeah. The other thing, I was stunned how healthy he stayed last year.
Because he did a lot of running.
Yeah, and with his build, man, that's something to watch too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh,
that was it.
We moved a little quick there.
Slide too early.
Slide too early. Plaster bet of the day is coming up next, and guess what? Tampa Bay will be on that list.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank and Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank and Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
To say we're excited about our new digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue is a huge understatement. Special thanks to Sean Henry, Danny Butler, Joel Butcher, Dan Williams. Man, they have made our life beautiful. One of the things we're going to try to do is take advantage of this beautiful facility. The first thing we're going to do is create a Wilson Bank and Trust Summer Sports Speaker Series. Try saying that 3 times in a hurry. The first of those will be Thursday, April the 20th at 11:30 in the morning. It'll run until about 12:45, and the new Predators general manager, Barry Trotz, will be our guest. Stay tuned for more information and for more announcements. We are thrilled to be at the Fordyce Center, and thanks to all of you for watching our show.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Final segment on a Wednesday. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened last night. Miami took the L, George.
They took the gas.
I couldn't believe how bad they looked.
Oh, they looked awful.
Terrible.
They
were uninterested. They didn't want to be in the playoffs.
You know, they really did look disinterested. Now they got a chance.
And they were at home.
They got one more chance.
Yeah. Yeah, because the loser of 7-8 plays the winner of 9-10 in this convoluted system.
That is ridiculous.
Which I will say this, as nutso as it has produced some really exciting games.
It's a made-for-TV type
you
deal.
got that.
That's crazy. Well, 153 and 153, Kelly.
Well, now hold on. We accentuated the negative. Was there not a victory in there?
There was another Rays victory.
I mean, we just sort of blew off that.
Well, it's easy to pick at you, George.
Well, you sit at this chair and see how easy it is. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Kelly, take 3 guesses what baseball team we go with tonight.
Oh, you're picking Tampa Bay again.
Put it up there, Billy. How about them Rays? Yeah. This is the betting thing says until they lose, keep going with them.
Will there be a little twist, though, here in a couple days if they get close to breaking the Brave streak?
We cannot allow the Braves to get hurt in this. Now, here's the NBA playoff game that I'm going with, and surely to God I'll do better than I did last night. I'm taking New Orleans at home. I'm not a big fan of OKC. The fact that they're in this says there's one team too many. New Orleans covers at home. They're pretty good.
I'm not going to say anything because last night I thought that was a for sure, and then the Miami Heat they were dreadful. It was ridiculous.
There was no heat there at all. There
was no heat whatsoever.
No. Anyway, that's what we got. Tomorrow on the show, Mark McGee will join us as we talk the final week of the Predators season. There will be no playoffs this year with this team, but there is, I think, a lot of hope right now. We're going to talk with Mark about that. Danny Evans during the 3 o'clock hour with baseball. Kelly, you behave until then.
I'll try. And Billy, the guy's name was Zach Calzada, who almost beat Alabama.
I checked the box score. It said Haynes King.
No, it was not him. It was Zach Calzada.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Man, I need to recheck that then.
By the way, a gentleman just asked, did the Lakers win? Yeah, you need to look at the highlights. You won't believe how it played out. It's crazy.
Kelly, now I don't want people in here. George will be too distracted.
No, I decided to do that. Kelly, see you tomorrow.
All right, guys. Talk to you.
And see all of you tomorrow. And, hey, before we leave, Billy, let's put the Barry Trotz thing back up there one more time. A week from tomorrow, we will have our first Wilson Bank and Trust Summer Sports Speaker Series. The new incoming general manager of the Predators, Barry Trotz, will join us Thursday, April 20th here at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue from 11:30 in the morning until 12:45. And it's a deal where I guess you could call it a live studio audience to watch this. If you want more info and you want to sign up, whether it's you or you and others, all you got to do is let me know how many. Email me at plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Adios. Hasta mañana. See ya.